Hi everyone, it's me, Julie O'Connell. I'm coming on here to talk to you about what Scientology is. So we're going to lay the groundwork for what Scientology is. Scientology is a belief system written by LRH, or L. Ron Hubbard. Scientology believe that they are spiritual, immortal beings, that they have existed for an infinite amount of time. They carry trauma from their past lives, lifetime after lifetime. In order to get clear, this trauma, you must follow LRH's technology. This includes spiritual freedom, defined as in Scientology. It is intensive studying and training and counseling and lifestyle dedication. Depending on who you ask, for some people, Scientology is a religion, but as you will see, as people have been leaving the Church of Scientology, they consider it a cult. And the BITE model explains this explicitly. The BITE model explains how, in Scientology, how they're controlling their members. And they do it in many different ways, like the TR routines. They are set there to help you repeat commands and sit and be comfortable with somebody yelling and screaming at you. Scientology considers itself a bona fide religion through Scientology's technology and religious practices. Scientology promises to get rid of your trauma from the past. This is another way to rehabilitate the spirit. It is supposed to be the cure for mental illnesses. However, in psychological, no psychological entity will back that Scientology is a benefit to the public and is a psychological advancement. It is not a psychological advancement. Scientology is a pseudoscience, and Scientology has harmed so many people, and there's no basis of fact about Scientology being science-based fact. Scientology currently has its tax-exempt status in the United States of America. France has convicted the Church of Scientology for fraud. Russia has banned Scientology outright. Greece and Germany don't like it at all. Denmark and Japan don't recognize it as a religion. A cult, they consider it a cult. Many critics of Scientology and reporters and ex-Scientologists and mental health care providers view Scientology as a cult. When you indoctrinate your members to thinking that, anything bad that happens to you, you pulled that in. You expressly pulled that in. You did something in another lifetime to cause you to pull that in. So say, for example, if you were sexually assaulted, they would consider that you have pulled that in. So for me being sexually assaulted by Jamie, they would say I pulled that in. I did not pull that in. Critics label it as a coercive high control group. Scientology is definitely considered one of the highest control groups. It takes 12.5 years to unpeel the onion that Scientology has left on its members, and not every Scientologist who has come out of the Church of Scientology are on the same spiritual health journey. So this is why sometimes ex-Scientologists hurt each other, and this is why it's harmful. Like, Scientology is so harmful. It is so harmful for children. It is harmful for adults. It's harmful to the people that have it around them. Look at what it's doing to the downtown Clearwater area. It has left downtown Clearwater a ghost town, and has left downtown Clearwater like North Korea. Just do your research. There is no business in downtown Clearwater, Florida, because the businesses are moving out because of Scientology. They also consider it an authoritarian leadership, and this is absolutely true. This has been well documented by ex-Scientologists in books, documentaries, and court cases. At first, they love bomb the individual, which turns into isolation members from their outside support systems. Also, experts can control to gain influence over an individual Scientologist. They believe that they can heal their own illnesses using Scientology's technology. If this were true, Christy Alley would still be here. Kelly Preston would still be here. Jet Travolta would still be here. And there wouldn't be many people in Scientology unaliving themselves. They have one of the highest unaliving rates at 22%. They use bait and switch tactics, reviewing for donations for one type service and offering a different type of service. They also steal promises. They state that they have promises of superpowers, but yet they don't have any superpowers. They don't even know how to confront and shatter the media, the protesters. They run away. If you look at a lot of the live streams that have done protesting, a lot of the Scientologists still run away because they're told they're not allowed to talk to the person on the outside world. They consider the outside world harmful. There is an authoritarian structure. David Miscavige is 100% the leader of Scientology, and he had over 100 executives locked in the hole. This has been well documented by Leah Remini in the aftermath, well documented by the executives that have left the Church of Scientology. Mark and Claire Headley has spoken about this, and it's very harmful because at one point in time, the FBI was going to raid Gold Base, and they were told by a high-level ex-Scientologists not to do that. David Miscavige has not only has not shown any accountability. Full dedication required for all members in Scientology. Exploitation of members of the Church of Scientology, forced to sign a billion-year contract. That's for their Sea Org members. And in the outside world, that billion-year contract does not hold up to any court of law. And a lot of times they forced members to sign this billion-year contract under duress. Volunteers who break their contract are forced to pay a freeloader debt. If they don't, they will be forced to disconnect from all their family and friends in Scientology. The elderly have credit cards put out in their name. It's proof. Rosemary Brown has talked about this on Mike Brown's channel. She had multiple credit cards put in her name to do Scientology, for others to do Scientology courses within the Church of Scientology. Here she kept a running ledger of how much she was paying out of her $47 a week that she was getting paid because she was considered a religious volunteer to, make sure that she was paying it down. However, the majority of Scientologists default on their loans. This is why Chase Bank will no longer do business with Scientology. And they sometimes do this without their knowledge. It's very heartbreaking. And even in Rosemary Brown's case, they stole her Social Security money. How is she supposed to live? Children are used for good laborers. There is no education for children in the Church of Scientology. In most cases, children start going on courses at the age of 6, and they are taken out of the public school system at the 6th grade to do Scientology's bidding, whether it be working at the hotels or doing labor or becoming a staff member at the Church of Scientology. And Ricardo Lorenzo Jr. just did a wonderful expose about the Church of Scientology, and he saw a van with little children in it. And this is why it is so harmful to get the abuses of Scientology out there. They are transferred from state to state and country to country as slave labor. Scientology has a policy to attack others. This is their fair gaming policy. This is they don't consider family. In Scientology, they don't have a nurturing environment. They don't have a loving environment. People aren't allowed to hug. They aren't allowed to cry. They aren't allowed to grieve. If somebody dies in Scientology, you're expected to get over it. You're supposed to do locationals for things that don't remind you of that person. They even take all those photos away from you of your loved one, and they burn them. This is why I consider Scientology a high control group, and they need to lose their tax-exempt status. And there's so much evidence on Scientology, I don't know why it's still going on. They have a disconnection policy for anyone who speaks out about Scientology. This is a proven fact. They hold this over every Scientologist's head. So if you were to leave the Church of Scientology quietly and don't do it publicly, you are good to go. You won't be forced to disconnect from your family members. However, even in Scientology, their phone calls are monitored, and they are not allowed to call their parents. They're not allowed to call their family members. They aren't allowed to call their friends in the outside world. This policy creates tension. Jenna Miscavige has spoken so eloquently about how she was not allowed to contact her family. And the reason why these ethics formulations were going on was because of Mike Rinder. In those legal documents that were leaked to the FBI, Scientology made it a point that children are not allowed to call their parents. Jenna Miscavige said from the age to 12 to the 16, she only saw her mother twice and her dad a couple times. And when they left the Church of Scientology, they did not want her to leave. They were in Mexico at one point in time. But they did not want Jenna Miscavige to leave. the Church of Scientology. Some people consider Scientology as a self-help philosophy. However, Scientology hides behind many front groups. And Hubbard's study tech is an important part of so-called religion. One of the front groups is the Association for Better Living. The tech is packaged to secular schools under Applied Scholastics, which is a front group that caters to Scientology. The Wise Business Consultants is another front group for Scientology. And they use these businesses to help Scientologists create their wealth. And they use these business consultants to help build their repertoire and build a resume. So that way, if for some reason they do decide to escape the Church of Scientology and they do speak out publicly, they would have a way to do business. However, in Leah Remini's case, Scientology has tried to block her every movement on her getting business deals, and has harmed some of her businesses, like her iHeartRadio podcast with Mike Rinder, and also has tried to harm her on People Puzzler. Each individual must buy their own books, lectures, and CDs. The International Association for Scientology is mainly for donations, and donations for their war chests. Also donations for the Ideal Org program. Scientologists are hit up by every single different type of registrar. The ones for the front groups, the ones for the war chest, the ones for the Ideal Org. It is not uncommon for some individuals to have paid millions and millions of dollars to go up the bridge of total freedom in Scientology. Leah Remini has spoken about this. She spent over $3 million in the Church of Scientology on the courses. And this doesn't include the donations. Grant Cardone is a well-known Scientology celebrity. He's donated $18 million to the Church of Scientology. And Turning Point UK and Turning Point USA has a high-level ranking Scientology executive linked to Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's foundation. John Mappin. John Mappin is a high-level ranking Scientologist. He's a public Scientologist. This concerns me a lot because there's a lot of celebrities that are linked to Scientology, like Jada and Will Smith, like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. They are linked to Scientology because they were friends with Danny Masterson. And Danny Masterson knows a lot of secrets about Ashton Kutcher. And if Danny Masterson were to leave the Church of Scientology and speak out publicly, it could be damning for Scientology. Scientology covered up all those crimes against those poor Jane Does who were eloquently to go to the police and were forced to disconnect from all their family and friends in the Church of Scientology. This is why I don't like safe-pointed groups. And there are many safe-pointed groups. They have another front group called the Way to Happiness. In disasters, they get a photo opportunity. And they spread these pamphlets around, claiming it's helping the world when it's not helping the world. Scientology is not beneficial to the public whatsoever. Scientology has harmed many children. LRH was considered a fraud. And a lot of the lies that he stated about what he did in his life were unfounded. He believed at one point in time he was a Dalai Lama. This is why it's important that we expose the abuses of Scientology and expose the abuses towards children. Like I said in the Joe Berg Sec Check, a lot of the questions that the auditors talk to the adults, they are so inappropriate for children. This is why Scientology is so harmful. And I really hope everyone has had a beautiful Monday. I hope everyone's having a wonderful President's Day. Do the things you love, support the people you love, and just have a wonderful day. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Thank you so much.